Eminem has been one of the loudest voices when it comes to calling out politicians. What's important to remember is he picks his spots very carefully, and when doing so with precision and accuracy.
Few Americans take the vile rapper Eminem seriously. He represents the lowest form of entertainment in this country and is a publicity hound to boot. However, his attack on Sarah Palin, which is very crude, seems to be okay with the media. Here's what's going on.
In the end, if you get on this man's poo-poo list, you're probably doing something right. It is true, however, that Slim Shady depicted former John McCain VP selection Sarah Palin as a sex goddess he'd like to, well, meet. Right-wing media hated it, yet are silent on First Lady Melania Trump posing nude for a magazine, so there's that.
You mad.
Before his cipher at the BET Hip Hop Awards in October 2017, when he called out Donald Trump, Eminem made waves for an anti-war song produced at the height of the Bush administration.
But we also want to look at our war against proliferation and weapons of mass destruction.
The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder.
I take the threat very seriously. I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
This is the lie that was sold to the American public.
We did not find stocks of either chemical or biological weapons. Active nuclear weapons program, no. We found no evidence, nor do we judge that there was one.
This despite repeated claims from the Bush administration and politicians like John McCain and Lindsey Graham, who insisted Iraq had WMDs.
I think we will find weapons of mass destruction. I think it's important that we do.
He's lying, Tim, when he says he doesn't have weapons of mass destruction.
Thus, Marshall Mathers had seen enough and put his feelings towards the war in music form. He starts the song Mosh, produced by Mark Batson and Dr. Dre, with a school classroom, and fades into newspapers showing Bush's deceit on the American public. The visuals speak volumes. For example, this headline reads, "Senate upholds ban on GI coffin photos." It was a huge story at the time. Republicans voted down a proposal by Democrats that would lift the Bush administration's policy of barring the news media from taking photographs of flag-covered coffins of service members killed in Iraq. Senator Frank R. Lautenberg, a New Jersey Democrat, proposed the amendment to a spending bill. He'd say a majority of the Senate are now working on behalf of the president to conceal from the American people the true costs of this war. He said his amendment would bring an end to the shroud of secrecy cloaking the hard, difficult truth about war and the sacrifices of our soldiers. Another headline Shady included was this report from UPI, which read, "Hundreds of sick and wounded U.S. soldiers, including many who served in the Iraq War, are languishing in hot cement barracks here while they wait, sometimes for months, to see doctors. The National Guard and Army Reserve soldiers' living conditions are so substandard," wrote UPI, "and the medical care is so poor that many of them believe the Army is trying to push them out with reduced benefits for their ailments." One document shown to UPI states that no more doctor appointments were available from October through November. Veterans Day included. A controversial bill passed during this time was, of course, the Patriot Act. Eminem makes note of this as well. Simply put, the Bush administration framed it as, let's pass this so we can hunt down terrorists inside the country. Instead, it led to the intelligence agency having the legal capacity to spy on its own citizens through phone calls, emails, texts, and more. It reminded many of COINTELPRO. M is seen in front of a board of newspaper clippings that enraged some, but not enough, American citizens. At the time, Congress did pass $87 billion towards the Iraq War, according to the Harvard Kennedy School's Linda Blimes. The total exceeded $3 trillion, dwarfing previous estimates. There's another stunning visual, which was true at the time, of the Secret Service investigating the rapper because a song leaked prior to its release, which was called "We Are American." M would rap, "Expletive money, I don't rap for dead presidents, I'd rather see the president dead. Dead presidents is slang for cash because of the depiction of several presidents on currency. In the video, Eminem depicts Michael Bloomberg's controversial stop and frisk, with the figure being Lloyd Banks, formerly of 50 Cent's G Unit. The chorus, to this day, remains true as it did back then. Our rights are being violated. We did not ask for endless wars. We see through the BS. We must band together and make our voices heard against an oppressive regime that does not represent the will of the voter. In the second stanza, a private is depicted happily coming home to his family, except his significant other is not only holding their child, but also a note in her left hand. This member of the military, just as he arrives, is sent back out for deployment. Rightfully, he is angered and chooses to rebel. As thousands march with Shady in the streets, another figure is depicted. A woman with kids gets a notice of eviction, while simultaneously, those who enjoy socialism in this country the most, the ultra-wealthy, receive tax cuts. From the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, high-income taxpayers benefited most from these tax cuts, with the top 1% of households receiving an average tax cut of over $570,000 between 2004 to 2012. Despite promises from proponents of the cuts, evidence suggests they did not improve economic growth, surprise, or pay for themselves, but instead ballooned deficits and debt and contributed to a rise in income inequality. The genius of Eminem would be in the lyrics and visuals along the way. He suggests cutting off Bush's speech for the peoples and demanding the president pick up his own weapon and fight his own war instead of us doing his dirty work, which was predominantly built to benefit defense contractors. Another harrowing line was when M put in the lyrics, "No more blood for oil. We got our own battles to fight on our own soil. No more psychological warfare to trick us to thinking that we aren't loyal. If we don't serve our own country, we're patronizing a hero," as in Bush. In an interview with Rolling Stone at the time of the video's release, Eminem would say, "Bush has been painted to be this hero, and he's got our troops over there dying for no reason. I think he started a mess. He jumped the gun and he effed up so bad he doesn't know what to do right now. We got young people over there dying, kids in their teens, early 20s that should have futures ahead of them, and for what? It seems like a Vietnam II." As always, when the people rebel and protest, those who uphold the capitalistic state are deployed to silence dissent whichever way they choose. A line that will never be forgotten is Eminem writing of Bush, "Look in his eyes, it's all lies. The stars and stripes have been swiped, washed out and wiped, and replaced with his own face. Ma should now or die. If I get sniped tonight, you'll know why, because I told you to fight." The video ends with Eminem leading the voters to take action. The final stanza reads as follows on your screen. Eminem intentionally uses the WMD's line, but associates it with George W. Bush, not the outright lies he told to invade. He asked the American public to set aside their differences for the greater good. It ends with the voice of the youth saying, "Can you guys hear us?" I know in these last few clips, we have been focusing on George Bush and the forever wars that he has kept us in. And the reason we call it forever wars is because the civilians, the families who have been lost, the people that have lost body parts, the lack of healthcare systems, lack of infrastructure, that is all still taking precedent today because of the decisions of our lawmakers. And yet still in other parts of the world, because of our interjection, because of our interference, it continues happening over and over again. What I wanted to do here is show the power, and I know it's cliche, but the power of taking a stand, the power of music, the power of the most powerful, if not the most popular hip hop artist at the time, doing this in the form of a music video when music videos were a thing. If there are any others, by the way, that you want to see a breakdown of or that you want me to cover, we've done Rage, we've done Adam Yauch of the Beastie Boys, Eminem. Get at me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open, of course. I like doing these, and I hope you all love taking it in as much as I really like going back in history and showing all of these different clips, all these different pieces, all these different music videos, these speeches that are brave, quite honestly, to go against something that so many in this country had a bloodlust for, but taking a stand and saying, no, actually, this isn't how it should be, and we're in the wrong. So get at me, and I will also see you all in the comments section. Be well.